off tonight, the magician is going to face the razor-sharp surgical steel teeth of this industrial buzzsaw. As you soon find out, the saw blade is real, and the teeth are incredibly sharp. Ouch! That's more of a mark. The magician sets the blade in motion and commands it to rise to the top of the tower. Remember the old saying, what goes up must come down? So for safety's sake, the blade stops before the girls walk underneath. The assistants have wheeled a large coffin-like box beneath the blade. Let's hope this doesn't become the magician's final resting place. The lid is raised, and he steps inside, taking a moment to get himself comfortable in this very uncomfortable situation. This is probably a good time to remind you not to attempt this. The magician may be giving away the secrets, but he's a trained professional. The front of the box lowered, we can see that he's held in place by a wide steel band and handcuffs. He's not going anywhere. From the time the blade begins its descent, our magician has only 30 seconds to escape. First, he's got to contend with the handcuffs. Shouldn't be too tricky. Only 20 seconds left. This isn't going well. The assistants are under strict orders not to start the blade. But will they obey? The blade is now just inches away. Will he escape in time? Nope. Guess not. Well, this is a first. And we've still got an hour's worth of tricks to expose. Too bad he didn't save this trick for his big finish. Could have killed two birds with one stone. Or one giant blade. Looks like the masked man has finally met his end. But I think we should see some proof that he's really cut in half. On cue, the girls separate the box. So long, magician. It was nice knowing you. The danger in this illusion is about as authentic as it gets. Complete with a very real, very sharp industrial saw. And the handcuffs? Well, they're real too. You can see that there is no way to escape this death trap, not within 30 seconds. And that's really the magician strapped to the table. So is the magician really being sliced in half by the razor-sharp teeth of the giant saw? No. He still has more secrets to expose. Starting with this one. The first secret, of course, is in the box the girls wheel onto the stage. When you see him get into the box and supposedly lie down, he's actually slipping his legs down into a secret compartment. The table legs are hollow and large enough to fit a person, or half of one. As you can see from the back, there is plenty of room to slide his legs inside the compartment with the help of some handy steps, like the rungs of a ladder. His upper body remains visible on the table. So what about the other side? We saw his whole body on the table. The legs look real. The secret here is that a body double has climbed into the box before the illusion began. His legs stay on the table, while the rest of his body hangs upside down in another secret compartment. The double's legs are the ones we see secured by the stalks. The magician is in the front half, the double is in the back, and that steel band will cover the gap. With the body double in place before the illusion begins, the audience has no idea they're about to be duped. But how did two men make the illusion of one body so convincing. When the steel bands are lifted away, we can see the space between them. When the bands are in place, they cover the gap. The audience has no idea they aren't looking at the magician. But that is a real saw blade, and it is the magician's shirt being torn from his body. There is real danger here. So to ensure the magician's safety, there is a gap between the two halves of the table, allowing room for the saw as it is lowered. Wooden partitions on each side protect the men from harm. But when the two sides of the table are pulled apart, it looks as though the magician has been sliced in two. Now, you know how it's done. Here's a simple trick with an ordinary wooden toothpick that will make you the life of the party. The magician displays the toothpick to show that it hasn't been tampered with. He holds it in plain view and makes a few magical waves with his hand. Poof! The wooden pick is gone. Vanished without so much as a hint of sawdust left. Where did it go? So how did the magician make the toothpick vanish? The secret is simple and very deceptive. It all comes down to this tiny square of tape. The tape and the toothpick are all you'll need to pull this off and amaze your friends. The magician places the toothpick on a piece of tape and slightly bends the tape around it, but not all the way. The tape attaches to the back of his thumb. Without the glove, it would go right on the thumbnail. Notice that the toothpick points backward when his thumb is extended. This is the key to the trick. The magician carefully removes the pick, leaving the tape on his thumb. The slight bend in the tape forms a sticky pocket for the toothpick. To make it vanish, all he does is open his hands, and the toothpick is hidden from view, stuck to the back side of his thumb. Here we see the magician place the toothpick into the pocket in the tape. This action is normally concealed by the fingers of his right hand. Now, he'll slowly open his hand so you can see the movement of the pick. There it is, stuck along the back side of his thumb. From the front, you can't see a thing. Vanishing a toothpick is a trick you can nail every time. Here the magician has one of magic's most popular impromptu tricks. All he needs to baffle his audience this time is a length of rope, which he proves to be strong and unprepared, and some scissors. They'll make their appearance in a minute. He gathers the rope to find the exact center, then makes a loop and holds it in his hand. Time for the scissors. Told you they were part of this trick. Using the scissors, the magician cuts through the center of the rope. Eventually, there's no camera trick involved. That's definitely a cut piece of rope. He twists the cut ends, gives them a wave, and magically the rope is back in one piece. The tricky masked man has done it again. So how did the magician cut the rope in two right before our eyes, and then restore it to one solid piece? The simple answer is, he didn't really cut the rope at all. Here are the secrets. Concealed in the magician's hand at the start of the trick is a small piece of identical rope gathered into a loop. This is the rope that gets cut by the scissors. The magician is careful never to let this piece of rope be seen by the audience. When he places the long rope in his hand, he pulls the short loop up and above his fingertips. From this angle, you can see him pull his sleight of hand. The long rope is held by his thumb, while the short loop is visible above the top of his hand. He takes the scissors and cuts straight through the short loop. When he separates the pieces, it appears the long rope has been sliced in two. Pretty sneaky if you ask me. All that's left to do is twist the short cut pieces out of the way and tuck them into his fist. He carefully conceals them as he slides the long rope through, and no one bothers to look in his closed fist. And that's how he creates the illusion of restoring a rope by magic. And now, the magician will perform another classic illusion, one of the most famous in all of magic. He displays an ornate chair that's perched atop a platform. He walks around the chair to make sure we get a good look at it. The magician then calls in one of his beautiful assistants so we can get a good look at her. This guy's got it made. Ever the gentleman, he helps her step up onto the platform where she takes her position in the chair, just like a beauty queen on her throne. Two more assistants enter with a large sheet. I think we've seen enough of the magician to know that something magical happens when he gets his girls under the sheets. The assistants raise the sheet for a moment. There's the girl still in the chair. He can't resist seeing her one last time. I don't blame him. The sheet goes back up, and the assistants cover the girl. There she is, still in the chair. A magical wave, some lightning, and she's gone. Vanished in an instant, leaving behind a lone masked man in his fancy chair. Maybe he should sit down and rethink this trick. So how does our masked magician make his lovely lady disappear? Don't worry, she doesn't go far. Here are the secrets. As always, the magic moments happen beneath the sheets. And a lot of things are going on simultaneously. First, there's a hidden breakaway seat built in the bottom of the chair. When the curtain is raised for the first time, the girl in the chair releases the seat, allowing her to slide her lovely legs into a trap door hidden in the platform. From above, we see how she releases the seat and steps into the trap. When the assistants lower the sheet, it appears as though the girl is still sitting in the chair. The next time the curtain is raised, it covers the chair completely. But that's not the girl. Notice the black section in the center of the chair? It conceals the next secret. This black headpiece. When flipped in this position, it takes the place of the girl's head. As the assistants lift the sheet, the magician secretly flips up the false head as the girl slips down into the platform and disappears from view. Here it is from above. The head form drops into place and is covered by the sheet. To the audience, it looks like the girl is still seated in the chair. She seems to vanish, but where did she go? The staircase looks too thin for the girl to fit inside, but upon closer inspection, we see the staircase is actually thicker than it first appears. The girl disappears into the platform, and from the back, we can see that it is actually hollow, allowing plenty of room for the girl to hide. With her legs in one side, the girl is able to arch her back and squeeze into the other half. She reaches up and raises the seat bottom back into position. And now our assistant is completely concealed within the platform. When the magician pulls back the sheet, the motion causes the false head piece to drop back behind the center of the chair where it started, and the girl is gone, leaving the magician plenty of time to think about what he's done. The magician will now attempt a classic bit of close-up magic using a shot glass, a dime, and a small sheet of rubber. The dime is balanced on top of the rubber sheet, and the magician is stretching the ends of it over the shot glass. He points to the dime, which in masked magician terms means watch this. A magical wave, and and he begins to gently rub the dime with his finger until it's gone. But where? He lifts the piece of rubber, and there it is, in the bottom of the shot glass. A genuine dime that can magically pass through solid rubber. So how did the masked magician make the dime penetrate the rubber sheet? It looks impossible, but there's a secret. The piece of rubber is a special high-tension polymer, the kind used by dentists, that's made to stretch a long way without breaking. It can be pulled so tightly around the dime that it becomes see-through and gives the illusion that the dime is resting on top of it. In fact, the dime is really on the opposite side. This side with the dime is the one that goes over the glass. When the magician stretches the sheet around the glass, the coin appears to be sitting on top of the rubber. Actually, it's merely stuck to the bottom side. He taps the coin with his finger, and you can see that the tapping releases it from the rubber sheet and sends it into the glass. A simple trick when you know the secret. We know that world-famous magicians have used their tricks to impress supermodels and beautiful Hollywood starlets the same way some guys use flashy cars to impress women who are out of their league. Tonight, the masked magician will use both. Here he shows off a late model Bentley. I say a Bentley because I'm not sure that it's really his. Then again, sexy models usually stop short of examining the registration. Aside from the price tag, there's nothing extraordinary about this car. Now for some girls, a parade of assistants. But the women he wants to impress tonight are these beautiful models. I can see why. The magician is going to attempt to turn these photos of the models into the real thing. It's no secret that the real girls would be much more impressive than their pictures. So it's time for magic. As usual, there's a large sheet involved. The magician always seems to have an extra king-size sheet lying around just in case. He's prepared for anything. The assistants cover up the Bentley. The magician steps forward and tells us to keep an eye on the super luxury vehicle. The girls raise the sheet for a moment. And now they're lowering it back over the car. Something's different. Let's get a better look. The Bentley has magically turned into a Lamborghini full of fun, complete with the gorgeous models. Now that's what I call an impressive trick. Excellent work, masked man. Why can't they all be this spectacular? Holy moly. So, how does the magician take an ordinary $200,000 Bentley, a couple of sexy photos, put them together and magically transform them into a Lamborghini overflowing with the gorgeous models? The secret is simple and starts with the fact that this trick can only be performed for a television audience. The magician has something dangerous in store for us, using this large circular contraption. No, it's not an industrial washing machine or an overgrown donut. It's actually a torture device with a potentially lethal twist. You can see that a table bisects the contraption. There's nothing above or below, as the magician is willing to prove. And since he's probably a bit too stout to fit inside that ring of terror, he calls in one of his lovely assistants. Cute outfit. And the ponytail is a nice touch. Let's hope she looks as good when he gets through with her. His team of assistants enters and quickly goes to work. The two male assistants lift the girl onto the table, while the two women prepare to secure her inside the ring. Meanwhile, the magician stands by, ready to take all of the credit. Now that the girl is in position, we can see that her head and ponytail protrude from one side of the ring and her feet hang out the other. Whatever he has in mind, this guy's pretty kinky. And he goes for girls with bare feet. This illusion is more telling than I expected. If there are any psychiatrists in the audience, I bet you could have a field day with the masked man. He places the girl in a trance. The lovely lady is at his mercy. And it's too bad for her because he's now holding a very sharp blade made of surgical steel. And maybe she should have read the fine print in her contract before getting into that thing. The blade goes into the device and through the girl just above the knee. I told you he was kinky. But he's not done. A second blade is now inserted straight through her torso. For those of you scoring at home, she's now divided in 3 sections. But she hasn't lost all motor skills. Her feet are still moving. The magician directs 2 of his assistants to do more of his dirty work. The device is now rotated a quarter turn, separating the girl's head and feet from her midsection. For a girl who's completely gone to pieces, she doesn't seem to mind. Maybe her ponytail is too tight. Better put her back together before she realizes something is up. But that shouldn't be. She's lowered back to a more appropriate horizontal position, but the magician will leave it up to her to put her life back together. So how does the magician slice his beautiful assistant in thirds without winding up the slammer? The secret is ingenious. First of all, the blades are real, and they are dangerously sharp. They're not part of the secret. The secrets lie within the circular contraption. From behind, we can see that it's cleverly constructed to contain 2 different compartments. When the illusion begins, the girl is loaded into the device, but she's not being placed on the table, like we are led to believe. Here's how it looks from the back. We can see that her legs are being fed into the compartment in the top of the ring. She can even pull herself inside with the help of some handy hand straps. From the front, it appears as though she's lying across the table with her head and feet exposed on either end. But that's just an illusion. Her legs are snug inside the upper half of the circle. But what about the feet coming out of the other side? They look pretty real. That's because they are. Before the illusion began, another assistant was secretly concealed in the bottom half of the ring. It's her feet we see coming out of the side of the device. As the girl on top is being loaded in from one side, the hidden assistant below slips her feet out the other side. It looks uncomfortable, and it is. But these women know that mind-blowing magic comes with a price. In this case, you get 2 for the price of 1. Now what about the torso in the center of the device? Here's the next secret. Preloaded into the top of the contraption is a body cast that perfectly matches the girl's fine form. Remember how the magician seemed to be just standing around while everyone else was doing all the work? He was actually doing the important job of blocking the center of the ring from view. From behind, we can see that another assistant was busy taking the body cast out of the top of the circle and placing it in the center. Here's what you'd see without the masked magician standing in the way. Maybe he does have a tough job after all. With the girls in the fake body in place, the magician is ready to insert the sharp blades. There's never any danger to the girls. Here's the secret. From the back, we can see that the center wall of the contraption protects them from harm. All that's left to do now is spin the circle and create the illusion of separating the girl in 3. From behind, we see it's all about the cleverly designed device and the flexibly designed girls. A setup like this can make the mind wander to other tricky situations. But enough about that. As for this trick, you now know the secrets. Up next, the magician shows you the devilish secrets to capturing an invisible spirit and conjuring up an incredible girl. And then, find out how a 5-ton elephant appears from nowhere while surrounded by a crowd of witnesses. When magic's biggest secrets finally revealed, return. The magician will now attempt to trap a spirit using nothing but this ordinary, bright-colored handkerchief. An accessory no well-dressed masked man should be without. He shows us that there is nothing on either side of the handkerchief, except for the chic and stylish pattern. He places the handkerchief down onto the table and magically summons a spirit. Do you see it? Of course not. Spirits are invisible. But just to make sure it doesn't escape, the magician folds in the corners of the handkerchief, trapping the invisible spirit inside. But I still don't believe there's a spirit in there, so he's got some convincing to do. And what's that? The liquid just popped up. Maybe there's something inside after all. Better calm it down before things get out of hand. Nope, this little guy wants to come out and play. He's gone, and I bet he won't call in the morning either. So that's how you play around with spirits. So, did the magician really trap an invisible spirit in his handkerchief? If you think so, you might be enjoying some spirits of your own. Of course, there's a secret. Aside from the obnoxious pattern, this seems like a very ordinary handkerchief. But in the magician's warehouse, nothing is ordinary. Secretly sewn into one corner of the handkerchief is a small wire rod. When he presses down on the end of this rod, it makes the handkerchief pop up and appear as if a spirit is trapped inside. Take a look at how harmless the gimmick really is. Just a thin piece of very stiff wire. At the corner, the wire has been bent at a slight angle. This bend gives the magician the leverage he needs to make the wire rod lift the handkerchief. Once the corners are folded in towards the center, all the magician has to do is locate the bend with his thumb and press down. The rod does the rest of the work. If only everything worked as easily. When he removes his right hand, he rolls the tip of the rod around with his left, convincing the audience that there is definitely some hanky-panky happening underneath the handkerchief. And that's how he captures a spirit. No one knows that gaudy fabric is hiding a tiny little rod. This illusion is one of the classics of magic, dating back more than 100 years. The magician enters and examines this empty four-legged wooden frame. From the round top, he lowers a chain. Next, his beautiful assistants wheel in a clothing rack filled with costumes, though most of their wardrobe could probably fit in a coin purse. One of his assistants makes a selection, a suitably seductive two-piece number and a pair of heels. The magician now hangs the costume from the chain as his assistants bring in a large hooded cloak. Kind of an extreme contrast in clothing, but whatever. I'm sure it's part of his plan. As they attach the cloak to the frame, a ghostly mannequin head is introduced. Creepy. Once the cloak is in place, the magician sets the head on top of the frame. The cloak's hood is pulled up and over the head, and the assistants spin the entire frame. How about that? The mannequin has transformed into another beautiful girl, dressed in a sexy two-piece. That's one way to find a date for a Saturday night. But there's a secret to how he did it. So, how did the magician use an empty frame, a sexy costume, a large cloak, and a mannequin head to create a beautiful assistant? The secrets are incredibly simple. As the assistants wheel in the clothing rack, the girl who will materialize secretly sneaks in, hidden by the costumes. While the magician is busy hanging the sexy outfit on the chain, his assistants prepare to bring him the large cloak. They hold it open so that it will hide the girl's path from behind the wardrobe rack to her next hiding spot, behind the frame. Once the assistants out front have closed the front of the cloak, the girl can slip inside the frame unnoticed. But what about the costume the magician hung inside the frame? The hollow base of this unit is constructed with flexible rubber pockets to hide the clothes. As the two assistants are adjusting the cloak, the girl inside is busy hiding the duplicate costume and shoes in the hollow base. The mannequin head is placed on the frame and the hood is pulled into position. The hood secretly contains a wire frame which allows it to hold its shape when the girl inside removes the head. From the side, you can see the head removed, while the hood stays upright. The girl quickly hides the head in a secret pocket sewn into the cloak, then hides a wooden plug in the base, leaving a space for her to stand up for her glamorous appearance. The two assistants quickly remove the cloak with its gimmicked hood and secret pocket, and all attention focuses on the appearance of the lovely lady. Once again, the women do all the work, and the magician gets all the glory.
Up next, things get gory when a magician reveals the penetrating secret to impaling human flesh. And then, a 5-ton elephant magically appears from nowhere, while surrounded by a crowd of witnesses. Find out how it's done when magic's biggest secrets finally revealed. Return.
The magician will now attempt a dangerous trick that's not for the faint of heart or stomach. If you have an aversion to the sight of scary tricks, now's the time to look away. Or watch, if you dare. He's about to give himself a trendy body piercing the hard way. By the way, don't try this one at home. With his sleeve rolled up, the magician takes a long, stainless steel needle and jams it through his forearm. It's slow going, but he forces it through the flesh and muscle. I told you this was going to be upsetting, and it's about to get even gorier. The magician begins to withdraw the needle, and sure enough, he lets loose a small gusher of blood. I keep reminding myself that this is just a trick. He better pull it out before he gets weak in the knees. I know I am. There it is. He's a braver man than I, and I keep reminding myself that it's just an illusion. So how did the magician thrust the needle through his forearm and draw blood without inflicting serious injury? Rest assured, this is just an illusion, and the blood is all part of the gag. The secret is in this ordinary bottle of rubber cement. Before the trick begins, the magician takes a healthy dose of the clear cement and applies it to his forearm. He's careful to get complete coverage on his skin. When the cement dries, it will be impossible to detect. Now when the magician appears to plunge the needle into his arm, he's merely pressing it against his skin. He struggles a bit to make the illusion more convincing. Once the needle appears to be completely inserted into his arm, he pinches his skin around the steel. The rubber cement causes the skin to stick to itself. The effect is pretty gruesome, but not grisly enough for our masked man. He wants us to see blood. That's where a trick needle comes in handy. It's secretly hollow, and the knob in the end is really a rubber bulb that contains fake stage blood. The magician uses the needle like a turkey baster, squeezing it to suck up the fake blood into the rubber bulb, then squirting it out when the time is right for maximum horror. Squeezing the bulb lightly is enough to force the fake blood out of a tiny hole in the hollow steel tube. All he has to do now is withdraw the needle from the glued folds of the skin, and the ghastly illusion is complete. For this next illusion, the magician has assembled a group of volunteers to witness the magic. This one will be performed at a completely empty parking lot in broad daylight to eliminate any possibility of trapdoors, secret panels, mirrors, or other stage trickery. He arranges the witnesses in a circle around two large sheets. Like the Pied Piper, they follow him and do exactly what he says, taking the positions in a circle, completely surrounding the sheets. As we walk with him, we can see that the area around the circle of witnesses is completely clear and free from boxes, trucks, or other foreign objects, except for the witnesses, the assistants, and the camera crew. No one is allowed in this secured lot. Now that the magician is pleased with the placement of the spectators and satisfied that we have seen 360 degrees, he's ready to make some magic. He gives some instructions to his assistants, commanding them to raise the larger of the two sheets. We can see that aside from some long poles that are sewn inside to hold it upright, the sheet does not appear to be gimmicked in any way. We continue our walk with the magician, seeing exactly what the witnesses see. Nothing unusual here, other than a man in a red shirt and a scary black mask. We've now walked to the other side of the sheet. There's nothing extraordinary to report here. The magician commands his assistants to bring in the sides of the sheet, forming a large, three-sided box. Now to close it up, he commands the smaller sheet to be raised to form the front of the box. Not much of a trick, but there it is, a big fabric box in the middle of a parking lot. Maybe he's not done. He tells his assistants to hang on firmly to the large sheets as they battle the wind. This is the high cost of doing a trek outside. One final command for the TV audience to keep our eyes on the box when the magician prepares to reveal the results of his conjuring. Let's watch. What do you know? A 5-ton elephant. Where did he come from? He was definitely not on the witness list. The girls are impressed. Maybe the masked magician can do real magic after all. An elephant appears in broad daylight while surrounded by witnesses. Truly amazing.
How did the masked magician make the 5-ton elephant appear? We'll reveal the secrets.
So how does the magician make the elephant appear from nowhere in the middle of the lot while encircled by spectators? It sounds impossible. It is. Here are the secrets. First off, let's start with a group of spectators. The secret here is they're all in on the trick. The magician has no trouble positioning them in a circle since they've been rehearsed. This 360-degree walk is designed to convince us that the parking lot is empty and free of wandering elephants. Next, the large sheet is raised. Again, we can see the surrounding parking lot appears empty, but appearances are deceiving. We know he had to be hiding somewhere in this vast, seemingly empty lot. But where? We've been looking at his hiding place the entire time. Don't you remember seeing it? You did. Constructed near a group of trees by the edge of the lot is a painted Hollywood backdrop and some fake trees. This is the elephant's hiding place. Sound far-fetched? It's true. And chances are, it fooled you. Even though this looks like a setup that a cartoon roadrunner might use to trick a wily coyote, it's actually an effective hiding place for the elephant and his trainer. No one would ever expect a real pachyderm could be stashed away behind some phony trees in the middle of a parking lot, completely undetected. But the farther away the camera travels, the more deceptive the phony setup looks. See it now? When you know it's there, it's much easier to spot. The trick is that you didn't see it the first time because you didn't know where to look. This continuous camera angle from the illusion is low and only shows the front side of the sheet. The trick only works from this perspective because as the sheet is raised, the elephant begins to approach from the rear. From this high angle, you can see the elephant walking toward the sheet as the fabric box is being constructed. From this low angle, the sheet is blocking the approaching elephant. The paid witnesses step aside to allow the elephant and his trainers some room to sneak through the circle. From the low angle in front, there's no sign of the elephant. Two stagehands who are dressed like spectators tear open the back of the fabric box, and the elephant walks inside. The sheet is held together with long Velcro strips. As soon as the elephant is inside, the Velcro is quickly resealed. When the front sheet is lowered, it looks as though the elephant has appeared from out of the blue. And that's the secret to making an elephant appear from nowhere.